Okay, we are now live.
All right, great. So welcome to September 23rd Fish and Game Commission meeting. I'm going to do a quick call to order. So Red Hawk Paulson.
Present.
Tracy Pilar.
Heller. Present.
Heller.
Thank you.
All right, and it looks like we're down quite a few commissioners. I have not heard from Patty, nor have I heard from Randy.
I spoke with Randy this morning. He was going to be out on the fire line and wasn't sure if he was going to be in a place to call in. So he probably won't be with us.
All right. So then no Randy. Off go my dog. Sorry about that. Looks like we're down Pat Ford and Michael Kara as well. So we don't have a full commission. So just to remind everyone that means that we cannot make any movements for today. We can just kind of go through, hopefully talk to Derek and move forward, but away we go. At this moment, do we have, sorry, come again?
I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm not really sure where to interject this before we get going. There was a item that I wanted to add to the agenda. That didn't get put on there. So I'm just making note of that, and I will bring it up in the comment section when it's my turn to make comments at the end.
Red Hawk, I had it on that it could be, I probably put it in the wrong place. I put it where it said comments. I had a comment there by your thing, but then in the revised edition, it didn't make the cut, and I should have just put it strictly on agenda item, but I did write it down. So Okay,
we'll talk about it in the comment section.
Okie dokie.
Okay, back to you, Anna.
All right, cool. Thank you, Red Hawk. And just interrupt at any time. I know these meetings are more awkward than normal. So does we have any public expression of non-agenda items? Tracy, have you gotten any emails?
There should be someone named Erin on the line. She was going to call in. I don't know if she's here or not, but I gave her the infola.
Okay.
Chair Newman, sorry to interrupt, but if there is an item that was not agendized, it would have to fall under an emergency, and there would have to be a affirmative vote to add it to the agenda, according to Brown Act.
Correct. And I just wanted to make note that it was not there, and that's why I'm bringing it up in the comment section. But we can't discuss it right now. I understand.
Can I ask a question though? While we're here, Anna, may I ask a question right now?
Yeah, of course.
Are you sure? Okay, so so I put it down where it said comments on there. Like is that an okay or not okay thing to do? If I put like where it says commissioner comments, and then I put like a comment that a commissioner wants to make and their name next to it, is that an okay thing to do?
It kind of depends. So usually commissioner comments are things that that pertain to Fish and Game Commission, but aren't things that we're going to take action on. So if it's something that we have to take action on, it'll go into the agenda as an actionized item. If it's just a comment, so for me in my district, a comment would be salmon season is opened or crab season is shut.
Right.
Just kind of general things that the commission would like to know, but it's not like we're really going to take action on the opening and closing of salmon season. That's way past our bounds. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but if it's an actionable item, it's got to be on the agenda. If it's just kind of a notation of, hey, I was out and about and I saw this, nothing we can really do about it, but I want the commission to be aware of it. Sometimes commissioner comments later on can turn into action items. So I've been noticing a lot of poaching of da-da-da in my area. It's still happening. It's still happening. I think maybe we need to make this an action item to look further into it.
Okay.
That helpful?
We just started comments, and comments don't have to be, I don't have to write anything down. We'll just comment when we comment. And then if we turn it into an agenda item, then so be it. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Cool
But
beans.
for comments,
Okay.
we can't take action on anything. So if it's an actionable item where we want an opinion or we want to move forward or create an ad hoc or,
Yeah,
then it goes under like
it
the
should be an agenda
1, 2,
item.
3 agenda item. Yeah.
It should have been an agenda item. So I'm sorry, Red Hawk, I should have put it on an agenda item, and then I had it on an agenda item and I put it to a comment. And anyway, I'm learning.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
We'll move forward in the comment section.
Okay. Okay.
All right. But as far as public expression goes, do we have any public expression? I saw a phone number just pop on. All right. Well, moving on to number 3, the approval of the minutes from the July 23rd meeting. Again, I'm a little fuzzy because we're so short-staffed on if we can approve these minutes
Okay.
at the moment.
So before we move on on the minutes, we have to make some corrections. There is, I'm going to read through it here. Let me bring it up. There was a section there in the grant cycle that the motion was not recorded in the minutes, and the person who seconded my motion wasn't identified. So we need to make that correction. And go to page 2, it's item number 3. We're discussing the vacancy for District 1. The verbiage in there can be construed as offensive, and we should write it before we approve these minutes and move forward, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So the verbiage in the District 1, we should just say that we're seeking additional people with a diverse background and leave it
Oh, that's a good one.
instead of
Okay.
the verbiage that is in place.
Okay. So can you say that one more time, please? Seeking
I didn't understand you.
say that again. With diverse background, additional people with diverse background.
Exactly. And yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What do you think of that, Anna? Did you read the?
Yeah, I agree with you. It could definitely be
Yes.
construed as offensive. Diverse background sounds a lot better.
It does. And I don't have who seconded your motion, Red Hawk. I didn't have it down, and I
Okay.
didn't write it, or I didn't have it, and so I just did that.
I think that our last meeting is recorded, and we could go back and
Okay.
revisit that. Somebody at the county could probably verify that for us.
Okay.
We could
Okay.
revisit it, and then you can pull your notes from that.
Okay.
I kind of remember it being Commissioner Madigan, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't recall either. For some reason, it just came to mind. But we can look back and make sure that we're right on it. So let's not approve the minutes for the last meeting until those errors are fixed.
So I
Totally, and I'll fix them.
I think what we can do is we can approve the minutes with the corrections that we just discussed, as long as Tracy makes those corrections and then reposts that on the county website.
Okay.
back in 2017, there was some stuff left off the minutes. During our meeting, we made the corrections and then we approved it and then moved forward. So we don't have to revisit it on our next meeting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that sound?
Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the caveat to make the corrections as discussed, the changing of the wording around 0.5 on page 2, and the backing of the motion by Commissioner Paulson.
And I second it.
There. Oh, yeah.
Can we do,
Okay.
do we have a quorum? Do we need a quorum to, okay.
And then as well, with looking at the minutes, there are just some basic issues. We seem to alternate between last names and first names, so finding consistency there.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Chair Newman.
Yes.
In order to formalize and adopt those minutes, you do need to have a quorum.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay.
So we'll just prep them for next meeting, and then hopefully next meeting we'll have a quorum and we'll get them approved.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Off like a herd of turtles, we roll. Thank you so much, Tracy, for doing this. I know it's a steep learning curve becoming a secretary on top of everything else, and we are very appreciative that you've taken on the role as well as being a commissioner. Tis a lot, we understand, and we're appreciative.
These are challenging times. Thank you. Hey, but anything else, like lay it on me, man, because this is the learning curve. So this is good. I mean, going through this is good.
Most definitely. All right, so I think from that, we're just going to move straight into item number 4 with Derek from the USDA. If you would like to speak to us, we're so happy that you're here and we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yay!
Well, thank you. It's nice seeing everybody. Hopefully we'll get to meet you guys in person one day. I was talking with Tracy earlier. I do have a presentation if you guys would like to see that. It's almost the same presentation I did for the Board of Supervisors a few months ago, kind of overview of our program, and then I'll add some other information in there about our staff that started back up here in August, as well as another person that'll be starting here in late October. So are you guys okay with that? Me showing
Yeah.
the PowerPoint real quick?
Sure.
So I'm not sure if this is going to work, but can you guys see that presentation?
Not at the moment.
I don't know how to show. I don't have my kids here to help me.
For mine, it's the green share screen button down at the bottom will pop up.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's go to the screen too. Now, can you see it?
Still no.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can go back to screen 1.
Now we have your desktop.
Hey.
Okay.
There you go. You got it.
Okay.
We can see all your your notes and stuff though. So
You can or can't see the notes.
I think we can. If you go to the full, maybe do full presentation, maybe.
thought this is what I did last time for the Board of Supervisors. You guys aren't seeing these slides here?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll just go through it quickly. So I'm Derek Millsaps. I'm the North District Supervisor. I'm out of Reading. Mendocino is one of my most southern counties, so we have a huge district. Encompasses all of Northeast California, or Northern California, goes from the coast to Oregon to Nevada. And so who we are, over this quick presentation, I'll talk about who we are, what we do, what to expect from us. Chris Brennan started back in August, back in Mendocino County, and Abby Thimke, who's on here as well, will be starting late October. Probably be over in the county somewhere, and after she does all her initial training in November. And so, as you'll see as we go through this, like, you know, what do? We pretty much do a little bit of everything. So there's a huge there's a lot of things that Wildlife Services does, and a lot of times people call us when they really don't have anybody else to call. We work with numerous different agencies. I mean, sometimes when you see this slide, people go, "Are you guys looking at the one is this say seeking assistance? Is that the one you guys see?" Slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we work really closely with CDFW, with Sean Freeze and Angela down in Mendocino County with depredation permits, other issues that they have. And then we work with groups, you know, NRDC, Defenders, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and so on. So resources protected mainly in Mendocino County. We focus more on protecting ag and property. But Wildlife Services also works on natural resource protection and the protection of people with mainly human health and safety to aviation, as well as wildlife encounters. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Just real quickly, just go through this slide. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways that we get requests for assistance. It could be phone calls that people already have our numbers. It could go through the ag office. Once they reach our specialists, there's a variety of different things that go through our head, and there's like a decision model that we can use based on what kind of animals we're dealing with and how to resolve the conflict. So our field investigations they range from, this is not uncommon to see like a rototilled up lawn. It could be from skunks and raccoons looking for grubs to feral swine and they're tearing up lawns. Very common these days with raccoons, skunks, possums, all these different animals getting into your cat's bowls and food and water outside, to possibly bears, lions, and other predators that we have to do field investigations, try to figure out the correct animal that has done that's killed the livestock. So technical assist, we do quite a bit of technical assist. I was just pulling up some data since we started back in August in Mendocino County. Chris has done, I think it was, numbers here, was about tripled the amount of technical assist compared to lethal control. I think he's removed 26 animals, and mainly urban animals, raccoons, skunks, possums, no bears, lions, anything like that. But we've done quite a few non-lethal technical assists. So everything, bears, lions, foxes, deer, elk, all these different animals right now in Mendocino County is 100% non-lethal. And it's all technical assist, trying to prevent damage from occurring in the first place. We do direct control. There's a variety of different, things we can do. This is a picture of an exclusionary device. It's trying to prevent, raccoons or skunks or something that's underneath your house from, and they can exit, but they can't re-enter. This is more the work that working with the Ag Department and Mendocino County Farm Bureau and the Board of Supervisors, some of the work that we're going to really start focusing more on and working with the public more. We're hoping that our second position can do more public outreach, and I'll go into more details about that here in a little bit. But we do all kinds of different types of direct control, from that to trapping, feral swine and other animals as well. So here's a picture of just like a corral trap. It's southern Mendocino County with all the vineyards down there. We get a lot of feral swine issues, and then I'll go over feral swine here in a minute, why they're such a bad animal to have on the landscape and the diseases and everything that they carry. So our integrated wildlife damage management toolbox, there's some of the non-lethal techniques. There's all kinds of different ways to try to keep animals non-lethally out. Harassment, audible, like the pyrotechnics, a rag box, that's a radio activated guard box or whatever it is. It's just a big speaker. It puts out a bunch of different noises. They have visual deterrents. People try Mylar tape on vineyards, and the fox lights now, they're trying that, especially in the wolf areas. It's supposed to mimic a person walking through the field, looks like a flashlight. Different types of, like, we recommend a lot of times on the, different types of motion sensor lights. Guard is another big thing that's becoming more common. And it's dogs. It could be llamas and donkeys, and it's all about the kind of livestock that you have that you're trying to protect. So guard dogs aren't going to work on big cattle ranches. It's going to work better on your smaller ranches that you can your sheep, and probably mainly sheep, but exclusionary fence and so forth. Our lethal techniques, just want to point this out, like all of our shooting we do is all it's 100% ground-based. We don't do any aerial operations in Mendocino County. Steel-jawed foothold traps, they're banned in 98, along with like sodium cyanide and compound 1080. So all these were banned before I even started with wildlife services. So these are, you'll hear this a lot, brought up by, some of these groups that don't really care for wildlife services, but these are, tools that we don't even use and we haven't used for 22 years. We still use snares, collarums, cage traps. Like I said, the corral traps, culvert traps for bears as well. One of the things that we're seeing on a rise throughout the state is that human health and safety calls that wildlife services will respond to. We have houndsmen, we have all kinds of different thermal imaging devices. We can find animals, we do DNA sampling. So we're getting called out on lion and coyote attacks more and more often. Here's a couple examples of some recent ones that wildlife services is on, where we were positively ID'd the exact animal that was removed. So it's a good feeling knowing that we removed the offending animal and not another animal that was in the area that wasn't causing any kind of harm. Protection of natural resources is pretty big in California as well, like Sierra bighorn sheep, plovers, least terns, the desert tortoise. We don't really do much in Mendocino County. I've heard they've had some plover issues along the coast, but right now, as of right now, we don't do anything really for endangered species. Property protection is huge, and it's growing with urban sprawl and some of these animals coming into areas where they typically weren't. Bears getting into kitchens. This is actually one of our employees, one of their cabins that got raided by a bear. So very common to see, lawns, parks, golf courses just rototilled up by feral swine. So livestock protection is a huge thing in Mendocino County. Top right is a sheep that was attacked by dogs. They tear up the face a lot of times on livestock. And then the bottom one, I think, was either coyote or wolf attack on livestock. So by having trained wildlife specialists that have done, a lot of necropsies and field investigations, there's a lot to, look for when we go out there. And it goes back to, we're trying to target the offending animal. So we don't want to go out there and just remove everything that's out there. Disease sampling, Mendocino County does probably, Chris and Gary did an amazing job at disease sampling. They sampled 989 disease samples in 20 years, which is I think, led our state program. So, and half of that was from feral swine. We're looking for rabies, plague, tularemia, leptospirosis, E. coli, swine brucellosis, and then pseudorabies, and many more. I mean, I think the next slide, no, in a minute, I'll talk about feral swine, but how many diseases they carry, and the concern it is for us here in California. And those that don't know, like about CDFW's depredation permit process, there's 9 species that require a depredation permit to be issued through CDFW. There's probably going to be some questions on lions. And so real quick, I'll just go over them. There's the current policy for Region 1 is on the first event. There's no 3 strikes. You've heard a lot about, but first event, if someone loses an animal, either the specialist or the biologist will come out, take pictures, evaluate the area, give them recommendations, and then if they do issue a permit, the permit will be a non-lethal permit every single time. And I think the code is 4801.5 in the Fish and Game Code. It says that they shall issue a non-lethal permit, and the permit currently is a 10-day permit. If they sustain another loss within that 10 days, the biologists will come back out, evaluate the area, make sure that they've made the changes, the recommendations, and then they can issue a non or lethal permit, but they don't have to. So every region's operating a little bit different, but that's what Region 1 is doing right now. And then make sure if you do talk to people with depredation permits that they read them in detail. Because some people have got the depredation permit, the non-lethal permit, it looks exactly the same as a lethal permit, but it says down the, like a halfway down the paper, it says non-lethal. Field innovation, adaptation. So some of the things that we're really pushing now are trail cameras. It's one of the biggest things. IDing the correct animal. Now, this is my old boss there, Jim Schuler up there on the right. He's putting up turboflaggery. We use this quite a bit up in like Lassen, Plumas, Sierra County for wolves. I think there was some tests going on. They were trying to figure out if it was if they could alter it for maybe for coyote areas, maybe make it a little bit lower. Maybe I think they were talking about doing the flags different distances and lengths. And there's a picture of a fox light up on the left. I haven't heard great things about fox lights, but the turboflaggery has been amazing for us in the wolf areas where luckily Mendocino County doesn't have wolves. And after putting up turboflaggery, we've had 0 losses within these areas. We put up the flaggery. And I'm almost done. So one of the biggest things we're really getting out and working with the public education, outreach, like teaching people. We don't want to have to just show up and do all the work for them. We want to educate them, tell them how to keep their animals safe, their property, if they need to fix some things on their property to prevent wildlife from using it. It doesn't work very good if we go out there and just remove the animal and they don't do any work, because they're probably going to have the same issue again with another animal. So educating them to be proactive and reduce conflict and losses and reduce damage to their houses is a huge thing for wildlife services. So we enjoy getting out there and working with the public. Hopefully in the future, we'll be able to, when things starting to loosen up with COVID and we can get around and meet people in different towns, is one of our objectives for this with the 2 new employees here in Mendocino County. So sorry, that was a really quick overview of our program. I was trying to keep it as short as possible at this point. Let me see if I can. Okay, I don't know if you guys have any questions. Tracy, you're muted.
Hi, Derek. I have a question. I don't know, or Chris, when we do a technical assist, since there's no relocation here in California, what do we do if we trap some wildlife?
Well, with technical assist, we're not trapping.
Yeah.
Okay, with technical assist, we're not trapping wildlife anyways. That's when you get into our direct control.
It's just an exclusion. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that would still be under
Okay.
like direct control. Technical assist would be just me showing up to your house and you say you have, like a raccoon or skunk problem, or, they're getting under your house. And then Chris comes out there and he looks and sees that like your grates or your ventilation screens have rotted off, and he tells you to fix that, or, he'll go around and look at your fencing, and that's a technical assist.
Okay, cool. Fix your holes. Okay, got it. So it's an exclusion, right? It's like,
Yeah, it's us telling you what to do to prevent, or stop the problem or prevent it from happening again.
Got it. Perfect. And then how is it hard? Like when we are dealing with a snare trap, do we instruct the rancher or the farmer to go out and check that snare trap, or how does that work?
So the snares, I'm not sure how much Chris has going right now. We're just getting going back in Mendocino County, but Wildlife Services has a 24-hour policy to check equipment, and it could be either the specialist or the rancher or the agent, working the ranch as well.
Okay. Okay, great. This is great. That's all my questions on me. I'm all done.
Anybody else?
I have a question for you, Derek.
Okay, hi Anna.
Hey, I was curious if you guys are collecting data on your lethal removals versus your non-lethal removals, and if you're breaking that down by species, locations.
Yeah, so we have it's our MIS, Management Information System, that we do. We collect all of our data. Chris actually is probably one of the best persons probably in the state at doing this. So it could be anytime he works with somebody about a technical assist, it could be if he goes out and meets a group of people, it's not, he's not just educating one person if there's 4 people there. So we'll track how many people are in attendees. If he's in a specific town, he'll put that. If he's in, Fort Bragg or Ukiah or wherever he's at, he'll put that town as well. So we track that information. Right now, it's mainly been urban work. I think it's since we've been out of the county for a couple of years, people are slowly finding out that we're back. And having one person there in Mendocino being such a huge county makes it difficult for Chris to get all the way around. And I talked to him earlier. He was in Fort Bragg and he was going to try to get over to Ukiah. So you guys know that county, it's a tough feat for someone to make those rounds. So he's been doing a really good job. I think he was going to try to meet with Jim Donnelly today. But I think right now there's only been 2 coyotes removed, but in about a month and a half. But it's 86 parties he's done technical assists with already. So it's a huge. We do significantly more technical assists, and then I think it was people misunderstood me in the Board of Supervisors meeting. Or they didn't hear me correctly when I talked about non-lethal work we do in Mendocino County. And over a 20-year period, it was 93% of time for 93% of time for bear calls. We are all non-lethal technical assists, and 95% of the time is non-lethal for mountain lions over a 20-year period. So we're not just running around and trapping and killing bears and lions throughout the county. We're educating the public how to prevent that from, sustaining losses.
Derek, this is Jim Donnelly. Chris is here with me in my office.
All right, that's good. I was hoping you guys would be on. So if there's any specific questions or anything, Chris, you want to add to that about the collecting of data, feel free to chime in.
Sounds like you got it covered pretty good. But if they have any questions you need to ask me, I'm here and I can answer them.
I have one more question, you guys. Yeah, hi, Chris. So,
Hi.
so a lot when I was doing hotline, a lot of times I would tell the community members, you know, go get the ammonia or cover. I would do it from the phone. And I'm wondering how, is there a way like, you know, like the industrial strength ammonia or the predator scent or something like that? Is there a way for the public to possibly get access to that in an easy way that you guys know of or have, or so they could just call? You don't have to go out there and, you know, or anything, or do you do that?
And I think we were talking about this, Tracy, right? Like about having an area set up with available resources that are available for the public. And right now, I don't think anything in Mendocino County has anything like that. Jim or Devin could probably chime in on this as well, or Chris, but as of right now, I think we just do the recommendations, and then some, you know, our guys do carry. I think Chris carries like eviction fluid for raccoon calls.
Getting a message on my answer machine, sorry. So Devin, I talked to Devin a little bit about this before. If we set up like a little corner, so we could say, maybe stop by and pick this up, you know, just something that, so that could be a lending library. I know paintball guns even work great for, you know, or whatever. That's depending on what you guys feel about that. But just a little aversion tactic corner, something like that, the community could possibly have access to. What do you guys think?
Tracy, it's
Yeah.
Chris here. A lot of technical assistance is on the phone, and I get as much information as possible because a lot of it is, you know, specific to that problem or that area. And then often I'll swing by and take a look. And also, we used to go to the county fair and have contact with hundreds and hundreds of people a day. We also have flyers. I hand those out. We also have a web TA that they can click on and get information through the computer. So we try to give them as much of everything we can, and what the research shows is the most effective, and what I can show, because every geographical area might, what might work on the coast may not work in a different spot, just because of the, you know, we have so many different types of habitat and issues. So often people just call me and we'll have a, you know, 10 or 15 minute talk and try to figure out all the different non-lethal things before we even talk about if there's going to be direct control.
Right. So like if you were to say maybe get some flattery or a motion detector, do you have a spot to tell them to go to get that, or where do you direct them to? They get the tools.
Well, often they can get on a computer and they can get on a farm supply. For some of that stuff, you can get off of different types of wildlife. We don't tell them what private company to go to buy whatever product, if they're going to buy like a fox light or something. A lot of it's just commercial fencing that they would get at the farm supply or any kind of hardware store. And we might set it up a certain way with electricity if it's for bears, or with aprons if it's for hogs. But normally I don't tell them where to buy stuff. That's up to them, because we don't want to, you know, be biased and say, go to this place to get your fencing. We have them go, they do their own research on that.
Right. But what about like the motion detectors or other things, like the other aversion tools?
There's different websites they can hit and get names of different companies that sell that stuff. They could call the Hopwood Field Station too and ask them what they're using, or if they're asking about dogs, we'll have them talk to different dog breeders. Certain breeds work better for certain, bigger places or smaller places, and cattle ranchers don't use guard dogs because they're spread out too much. Talking sheep or goats, but we usually try to help them
Okay.
figure out where to get this info.
Tracy, this is Devin. Maybe I can offer a partial solution to help both sides. You know, we can maybe work to put together a list of commonly used websites for different materials, and I can post that on our website for sure. I know Jim might have similar limitations to what Chris was talking about for referring to specific companies, but that might be something that we can do if it would be useful as a
Right.
point of reference possibly for folks.
That would be very
Well, I
helpful.
know, yeah, it'd be sorry.
No, that was it. I just wanted to say very helpful.
Yeah, I mean,
I buy most of my stuff on Amazon, so.
Yeah.
Well, I was
it makes it
wondering, I mean,
easy.
sometimes people just want like a little noisemaker, like even the stuff you get at Halloween that goes, ha, you know, like that kind of even works, you know, for a version. Sometimes it could be really simple if there was somewhere for them to just pick it up and use it, or, you know, but yeah, that would be fantastic.
One good company is Wildlife Control Supplies. They have quite a few different things. You can break it down per animal and what you're looking for, different traps, and there's different pest control options. But yeah, WCS, Wildlife Control Supplies. And I mean, it's like most of this, I do most of our purchasing in our work district, and I do buy a lot on Amazon, especially in rural areas where they don't have a whole lot of choices of supplies in some of the smaller stores as well. So it's worked out pretty well, and you can, I can ship stuff to anywhere as well. So it makes it pretty easy for us.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Devin. I'm done. What about Abby? Abby.
But usually we're not going to recommend for people to go buy equipment. We carry our own equipment, and if we go out there if we're going to remove a raccoon, we're not going to tell them to go down to Tractor Supply and buy a trap. We're going to use our own, professional grade traps as well.
I don't think people are they're not allowed to trap. Right. Just
well, people do. I mean, you can go to Tractor Supply and buy traps, and people trap and relocate all the time. And we usually can tell animals that have been caught before because they're pretty difficult to catch again. So I get pretty trap shy. So it happens quite a bit. I've caught people dumping animals, and I try to educate people, the reasons why we don't relocate. But you can go to most hardware stores like Home Depot, and I forget the big one there in Ukiah, but I think you can buy all those live cage traps from any of those places.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Well, hi, Abby. It's nice to meet you, and I'm excited for you to be on the team. Wonderful.
Hi, guys. Yes, I'm pumped. I'm very pumped.
Yeah, we need you. Yeah. You guys are going to do outreach and education, I hear.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So I'm coming from Michigan, coming all the way from mid-Michigan right now. I'm in East Lansing, home of the Michigan State University Spartans right now. Graduated from there in 2019. And right now I'm finishing up work doing deer demographic studies with the university. So finishing up work here, and then we'll be heading out to California in mid-October. I'm really excited.
Fantastic.
Great.
We're excited too.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Abby. We can't wait to have you here. Thank you for all of the information, Derek. It was really great. And Jim for calling in. Chris as well. I know that I called you guys a couple years ago about a coyote project, and I was really pleased about how much education we got, as well as help with the issues. Our sheep looked very similar to your cows in one of the photographs. Overall, I think it's a great job, and I definitely love the education aspect of all of this, because we don't want to just lethally remove wildlife every time there's a problem. The non-lethal ways are just as important, as well as education for our entire community. So thank you so much for coming on. If you ever need anything, please let us know. We're happy to collaborate if there's anything we can do in the education and outreach fields. We want to have this be an open commission for you guys where your questions are answered, we're a resource, you're a resource, and a team is created rather than two separate entities working apart. So do feel free to reach out at any moment for any question.
And I know there's a, with the Board of Supervisors, with Supervisor Jurdy and Hescheck, that it is, it's very important to them as well to doing the outreach. And so it's something that we've been working with them. So hopefully I'll speak back with, get back with Jurdy and Hescheck and Jim Donnelly and try to set something up. If we can't meet in person, maybe try something like this, a Zoom outreach meeting for the public to, to come and view. We can do like demonstrations on our iPads and stuff like that as well, and put that up.
That sounds
Yeah, that would
great.
be wonderful. Especially as we're likely to get more wildlife moving around with all the fires. Things are different. Things are going to get pushed to locations where they haven't been. Just making sure that our communities have the resources so the animals are safe, our community members are safe. All the fun stuff.
Educated. Mm-hmm. Yay,
All right,
Abby! Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm really, really
Yes, and Abby,
excited.
let us know if you need help coming into
Perfect.
Mendocino County.
Yeah, finding housing's a little tough, but I'm working on it. So
Yeah, I
Can be a
talked
thing.
to Derek, and yeah, I'll be talking to you, Abby. I think I might have something that'll work for you.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Yes, be
right
in
here in
touch.
downtown Willis. Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks, Chris. I'm so glad I'm gonna write an article for the next paper because I write the articles, and I'll make sure that I pass it by you first to make sure I'm accurate with my stuff. Cool. That's the truck. It sounds like the truck almost. Okay.
What's going on in that office there, Jim?
I don't know. It's wild.
This is Chris here. A lot of people don't know I'm back yet, and if the Farm Bureau or anybody out there wants to put both my phone numbers out, because especially in the South County, I'm not getting that many calls yet. I don't think they know I'm back to work. You're more than welcome to put out my cell phone number and my ranch number, and they can call 24/7. I've been doing this for a few decades, and it's not uncommon people call me at 3 or 4 in the morning, which doesn't bother me because that's part of the job. So if any of you want to put out, I can give you my phone numbers now. You can put them out to anybody who wants to call, and then I can either do a technical assistance or whatever else we have to do. So my cell is 671-6450, and that has voicemail. And my ranch number is a landline, and that is 984-8845, and tell them to let it ring about 20 times because often I'm outside, and they can call 24/7.
All right.
Good. This is Jim. There's fees on the Board of Supervisors budget for wildlife services, so we intend to be charging those fees. So we're going to work with Chris and Derek on.
Good to know. So it'll cost them to, when they call you, it'll cost, and there'll be a fee scale or something like that.
Yeah, the fees are the same fees that we've had for a long time. We maybe look at adjusting them sometime this year, but the budget I'm looking at is from 2018. So just want people to know that we're going to be charging the fees. It's not going to be a free call.
And I'm pretty sure, Jim, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if they call, they're not going to be charged. I mean, I'm assuming if the telephone technical assist there's going to be no charge for that. But if there's a site visit for a technical assist where we spend time driving out there, doing the recommendations, there may be a charge for that. Every county operates a little different. Some of them for the, when they first set up equipment, there's a certain fee. every animal they remove, there's an additional fee. I'm not sure what Mendocino has decided to do about ranch fees, but I think there's a ranch fee. Some counties do it where if you have a depredation permit issued for a line, it's, if Wildlife Services comes out, it's some counties it's free, and some counties they charge you. So I'm not sure how much detail you want on this meeting here, but Jim would have those details about pricing and what specifically they would charge for.
Yeah, I've got it up on my computer. If you want to know, I can tell you.
Human health safety. This is Chris. Human health and safety was always free. So if someone had a rabid skunk or a schoolyard call with a mountain lion in the schoolyard, those things we don't charge for. Technical assistance on the phone, we never charge for because it's kind of hard to do when someone calls you and you talk to them for 10 minutes or 15 minutes to try to send them a bill. The ranches we went often by if we were working year round or quarter year, because some ranches you only work for a few weeks out of the year. Some ranches you work year round. Some you only work occasionally or once a year or once every 5 years. So we kind of had a sliding scale on how much work, how many times we're going to be there. The urban work, we had basically a set fee that was reasonable. And then the old ag commissioner said, if you go someplace and the people are like on Social Security and they got skunks in their walls and they have no money, just deal with it. So because some people just don't have money and you're not going to get money from them. The trappers did not collect the money. We just gave them a piece of paper and we'd mark off what we thought the fee should be for that issue. And it was up to them to pay it. We didn't want to take the money because we didn't want to be responsible for trying to collect money from a bunch of different people. So the trappers we just gave them kind of a invoice and a place to send the money to, or a check.
Yeah, so far that hasn't changed much. So we can bill them from my office.
Jim, this is Devin. Maybe a good suggestion would be once you guys organize the fee schedule to let us know when it's up on your website as reference. I think that's just a good spot to be able to refer people to.
Okay, we can do that.
Thank you.
And some of these fees aren't, on this, it says $25 for a site visit consultation. If you have a plumber come out to your house, it's $100, so they're not.
Oh, where's that? I want to see that. Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to break the piggy bank, and the damage that some of these animals cause is going to cost a lot more than $25. So they're not, and this one says $75 for a small animal, $125 for large. So, Jim, are these, because it says 2018 fees, is that going to be the same? Or are you guys plan on adjusting those?
Well, this is the same for now. If the board's interested in adjusting those, we can do that.
Which, for some of the other counties that I supervise, this is about the same. I think the small animal trapping in one of my counties that does a lot, this is a little bit more, but they do a large number of them. So maybe that's the difference. But every county is a little different. It just depends on the ag commissioner and the board of supervisors which direction they want to go.
Yeah, I think they're minor differences.
Do you guys deal with rats?
Do we do what?
Rats.
Rats? Do you deal with
No,
rats?
we don't do rodents.
Rats. Okay.
We don't do rodents.
Including
we need
squirrels.
100 traps.
Did you hear Chris, Tracy?
He said we don't do rodents. We need a what?
100 trappers to do the rodents. There's plenty of stuff on the internet or the UC extension.
Right.
Go to farm or Tractor Supply and Walmart. There's plenty of ways to deal with them.
There's private guys that do the rodents.
Trap them themselves. Okay, got it. They're on their own. Okay, cool.
Well, we give technical assistance.
So they can give technical assistance over the phone.
And with
Okay.
Mendocino County, there's no companies that deal with trapping of, raccoons and skunks, and that's been one of the issues. I think there's some out of Sonoma County, but the fees that they would charge to come and service, people up in Fort
Oh, the
Bragg,
for exclusion?
just for
I'm gonna step
trapping,
up
like
very quickly. I'll be right back.
Okay.
just trapping of wildlife. I mean, when you get into like the highly urbanized areas, you get in the Bay Area and stuff, there's a lot of companies that will come out and
Right.
trap small mammals.
Mhm. Oh, since we're here, we're talking about rats and stuff. Chris, when you do a technical assist on rats, what's your stand on poisons?
Okay. So what's your stance on poisons for rats?
I usually don't recommend poison around houses where there's pets. If it's a big ag place, they have to have a pesticide applicator's license, and that's not my call. But as far as like the homeowner calls, if they have pets, I don't get into the morals of if they want to use poison or not, but I don't recommend it if they have pets just because it might be a non-target issue. But I don't use poison myself personally.
Okay.
We would recommend them to go to a pest company, because we don't deal with that. I mean, all these, even at,
Or just kill traps. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt there, Tracy. Do you guys have a website that the public can go to that explains all this? And we could just give out the website and they could visit it and answer all these questions?
Derek, yeah, you want to give them the website, Derek? We have that web TA. I don't have it with me.
Well, it wouldn't, no, it would, we used to have a California specific website for wildlife services and they shut it down. But if you just go into people, I guess we were in violation.
Who shut it
That was
down?
a few years ago. Just our region or whatever, but we used to have our own specific California Wildlife Services page, but let me see what they are exactly.
This is
Like
great.
if anybody, probably the easiest way to look it up is just to look up USDA Wildlife Services. If you go in there, there's all kinds of great information on there. It's going to be like www.aphis.usda.gov. I think that's the main thing, but and it'll go in there. There's all kinds of different sections in here. We can look up protected resources. There's ag, human health and safety, all the stuff that I talked about. You can click on each one and it brings you to different pages. There's little sheets, living with wildlife. There's a lot of great information that they can just look at from, their computer or phone.
Right.
They can print stuff out if they want to, but yeah, it's just
I'll definitely.
www.aphis, Animal Plant Health and Inspection Service is what APHIS stands for. aphis.usda.gov.
A lot of the counties, Jim, a lot of the counties don't post a lot of elaborate information. LA County Agricultural Commissioner, he's got some information about coyotes. So does the Placer County Agricultural Commissioner. The Marin County has quite a bit of information, and they do refer people to the Wildlife Services webpage. But we're a small county. We haven't had the staff to get a lot of this done. So, I've been wanting to put it on the website. We've just been having issues with the internet services to get it on. So eventually we'll get some.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Jim, if you can put a link just for that website for the USDA one. We used to give out handouts a lot, and we're trying to get away from all the paper handouts. So, I mean, you can look all the stuff up electronically anyways. And almost everybody has smartphones, and,
Right.
Chris has an iPad, Chris can use an iPad, we all can use iPads. So,
Chris, whoa.
yeah, the secret's out. Chris has an iPad, he's got an iPhone.
Oh.
So this is
I
Devin
still
with
hand out paper. I hand out the paper flyers by the hundreds every year. I do a lot of paper flyers, and that way I can put my phone number and any fish and game warden in case they got to get them involved. So when I drive around, I always have different flyers, everything from bears to raccoons to whatever in green. And if I swing by, or a lot of people just see me and flag me down and want to talk to me, and I'll give them a flyer, explain certain technical assistance to them, and have put my phone number on it, and if their local game warden, if they have to get them involved, if they need a permit. I don't get permits. The resource owner gets the permits. I just give them the game warden or biologist that they need to get a hold of and have them get the permit.
Okay.
So this is Devin, just really quick, you guys. It's buried on our resources tab on our website. About halfway down, there's some human wildlife interaction links, of which one of them is the one that Derek just mentioned, amongst others. So if you go beyond my giant list of COVID resources, you would find it there. So just to let you know, I have several.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any more questions.
All right, are we ready to wrap up and head on to our next item?
I am.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again
Nice to
so
meet you,
much,
Abby.
Derek and Abby,
Yeah.
for coming. Jim and Chris for getting on. It was really informational. And do please let us know if there's any way that the commission can help and collaborate for all of the education and outreach. We really do want to be a part of a team. Let's move on to the report from Devin on the elk findings. Devin, you want to take it away?
Sure. So thank you again for bringing this item forward. This is something that's been kind of in process for a while. So just to give you guys a little bit of background, and Tracy was part of this several years ago, maybe others were as well. Around 2015, roughly, the Department of Fish and Wildlife started to look at revisions to their elk management plan statewide. And so they put a draft proposal forward, and within that draft, they were going to be expanding upon the existing general draw hunting areas within Mendocino County. Currently, our entire county is within one general draw area. So, you know, the vastness of our county, we have one general draw area. And currently, just for your guys' information, there are two species. There's the Roosevelt elk, kind of on the northwest side of the county mostly. And then Thule are pretty much well dispersed in Potter Valley, Round Valley, up in Laytonville. We've got some now on the west side of Sherwood. There's a group that are down now in sort of Little Lake Valley. So they've pretty much well dispersed. So within that recommendation that came around in 2016, they were actually going to split our county into 5 different hunting zones. And they were going to expand those tags to roughly, for 3 specific zones, they were going to go between 0 and 10 for bull tags, and between 0 and 40 for antlerless. And then 2 zones, they were going to propose 0 to 5 for bull tags and 0 to 10 for antlerless. So that's a pretty good jump compared to the 2 that we have now for bull tags. And we were in support of moving forward with looking at that proposal simply because trying to find a way to meet in the middle to sustainably manage the elk populations and trying to reduce some of the human issues, interaction issues that we deal with in the various areas of the county. So long story short, that proposal went forward at a public comment period. There was litigation that was proposed against the plan because the department had not done their due diligence for coming up with actual population counts. So that plan came to a halt, and it went on for a few years. And so in 2018, they actually did finalize an elk conservation and management plan. And if you go and look for that, you'll find that at least for Thule elk, the goal for Mendocino County is to have between 800 and 2,500. That's their current balanced plan for Thule elk. And they're looking at a ratio of 25 bulls to 100 cows. So that's kind of their goal in looking at the overall populations within the county and then possibly looking at amending some of these other management options. So just maybe to think about this. So I mentioned, this is what we're up against. There's 3 programs currently in Mendocino County that are administered through the department for hunting purposes. And so I already mentioned the general draw. So in 2019, the last statistics I were able to pull for the 2 bull tags that were available, there was 361 applications. So 361 people put in for those 2 general draw tags. And there was only 1 actual confirmed harvest. So there was 1 actual filled tag for elk, bull elk in 2019. We currently do not have any antlerless tags for the general draw. Those were moved over to what they call the SHARE program. Some of you may be familiar with that. The SHARE program stands for Shared Habitat Alliance for Recreational Enhancement. So that's a program where the department partners with private landowners to provide the hunt species. So the private landowner is not coordinating the hunt. They do not coordinate the hunter. Those are through an application process with the department, and the department covers some of the liability coverage and works with those property owners that have signed up for that. So the total that for 2018, I believe, and 19 were 2 bull tags and 4 antlerless tags for the SHARE program. So if you're keeping track, now we're up to 4 bull tags and 4 antlerless tags. The 3rd program is what they call the Private Land Management Program, or PLM. And that is a program where private land owners can sign up with the Department of Fish and Wildlife to meet certain criterion for wildlife management, wildlife habitat restoration types of work. And if they meet those standards, in exchange for that, they are able to be granted additional tags, of which I believe they can sell those. So there is an economic driver for the PLM program. So there are 5 ranches. Shamrock is one of them. There's 5 ranches in Mendocino County that are currently signed up specifically for elk. There are several others that have PLM programs for deer species. So I looked at the 2018 report, which is the last I could find, and there was roughly 16 bull tags available and 20 antlerless tags available, if I did my math right, for that PLM program. So I guess where I'm going with this is the report that I provided to Tracy, that the link was shared with you, was sort of the first attempt back in March of this year. The Fish and Game came out and did some aerial surveys of the elk populations in Mendocino County. Now, this is supposed to be the first in a 3-year survey period to try to establish a baseline, again, going back to that 800 to 2,500 sort of thought pattern for managing the species. So there are 536 elk total that they counted, and probably didn't capture them all. You know, roughly 100 males, 450-ish adult females and calves. So that's sort of the breakdown. And I guess my intent of bringing this to your attention was that I think this is a perfect issue for the commission to kind of follow up on. And I know Tracy is in outreach with the biologist staff with the Department of Fish and Wildlife to kind of have them come and, you know, give some information and presentations regarding, you know, where the management plan is going, you know, how their counts are going, how we can work with some of the private landowners to partner with potentially doing some access for on the ground counts. This is an issue that's been pretty important, I think, to several of our members in various areas of the county. You know, for example, like Tracy mentioned, there's, you know, the Shamrock Ranch on the south end of Laytonville, and there's it's a great PLM program that they have, but if you're a surrounding property owner, you might not love it so much, right? Because you're dealing with potential impacts to fencing, you're dealing with some issues on the roads there. Everybody's seen the giant elk crossing signs there coming into Laytonville. Covelo is the same way. Those are a lot of smaller property owners that have seen impacts. Potter Valley is probably who I hear from the most in terms of trying to find ways of minimizing impacts to hay crops and other types of things. So I believe Tracy has been in contact with the biologist with the Department of Fish and Wildlife that did the count that I sent to you. And I believe that the next meeting that you guys might be regularly scheduling falls around Thanksgiving. So I suggested maybe January would be a good time. if we could schedule something with the commission, and that way I can help, all of us can help maybe publicize it to get some folks to participate in. And I think you get quite a bit of interest and feedback on, pros, cons, concerns, thoughts, whatnot. So just that's the background. That's kind of where this is at. And that was my intent to bring it forward to you today.
Great. Thank you very much on that.
Great. So we'll put that on because that we have to talk about when our next meeting is going to be and stuff. So when we do that, then I'll get back with Angela and let her, and she said she'd come. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but we didn't have a date yet for our next meeting. So.
And they've been great to work with. Like I said, we started talking with them about a year ago, and before COVID sort of stopped everything, we were planning to do some sort of additional outreach meetings and working with specific property owners to get some access, in Potter Valley specifically is where we started that process. So again, I'm just kind of interested myself to hear where they're at and what the updates are going to look like. So thank you.
Thank you. Cool, right?
Great.
Yeah.
Yes, very interesting. And thanks, Devin. Please do keep us up to date. And I know I'm interested in the elk situation here. Seems like jumping from 20 to 24 tags a year to, what'd you say, 300? It's quite a jump.
Yeah, I don't see that happening necessarily. I mean, I really don't. So, I mean, I just, it would be nice to come up with a happy medium, somewhere where they can actually come up with the population statistics, and let's look and see if there is a way of doing more than just the 2 general tags, maybe, for the general draw.
Cool, yeah. Well, thanks again. Anyone have any more questions for Devin on this topic? Nope.
Maybe I'll just follow up. Just really quick. Most of this is sort of, I mean, it's not always available, but if you do some general Google searches, I can also send Tracy the links to some of the elk management info if you guys are interested in just looking into it anymore.
That sounds good.
Perfect.
I'm going on mute because I'm getting another thing.
All right, so we next have number 6, the report from Pat Higgins on the Healthy Forests grant, but it doesn't look like Pat's with us today. So we're gonna go through that. 7 and 8 were both presentations by Commissioner Van, who's not with us, as well as 9. So we'll jump straight into 10, Tracy, discussions on the water shortages in the hills and California Department of Fish and Wildlife protocols. You want to take it away?
Okay, well, my question is this, because we're a commission. So I've been hearing a lot from the neighbors how a legal structure, a legal DFW cannabis will go in next door and they have to dig this deep well, and then the next door neighbors, their spring runs dry. And I'm just wondering, I know it's a resource and it's a DFW thing, and I was just like, well, who do I tell? Do I tell you guys? Should I call them? Should I do anything? So I just brought it up for general discussion because it seems kind of sad.
So I'm actually dealing with that kind of stuff on our ranch right now. So the State Water Resources Board is the one who governs the water in the county when they're drilling wells, building ponds, that kind of stuff. The county are the ones that are issuing the permits for the wells to be drilled, but they're doing site inspections. So there's some responsibility that lays on the county for just issuing the well permits without doing a complete survey of the situation, the water table, the surrounding structures, other influences. Where the Fish and Wildlife comes in is where people are directly removing water from anything that's going into like a stream, river, springs, that kind of stuff, or diverting water from streams to fill ponds. That's what I understand, where they fall into this issue that you brought up. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, who did you talk to? That informed you of the protocol? Well, I've heard that it was that the DFW, because of with the LSA, they would consider it surface water diversion if it were under 100 feet. So if it has to go over 200, there was like a depth that your well had to be, then it wasn't considered surface water.
I haven't found any of that looking at through the State Water Resources Board's website and working with some of the Fish and Wildlife guys. I haven't heard anything on the depth that you have to go. But what I do understand, and I may be wrong, but the State Water Resources Boards governs all the water. And so if you drill a well, like you get a permit from the county to drill a well, and you drill a well and you get water, and then you're using it for agricultural purposes, of being it, rice or cannabis, you have to report that to the State Water Resources Board so they can manage the allotment that you have. That's how I understand it.
Yeah, I think Red Hawk is completely correct on that. It is the State Water Resources Board's responsibility to manage that. And if they're getting a well for agricultural purposes, wouldn't it have to be an agriculturally permitted well versus a domestic well? An agricultural property is going to require more water. Devin looks like she's got an answer. Anything?
So, I mean, in the realm of everything is not consistent, I would say that within the cannabis permitting, where you would need to specifically look at is within the 1600 jurisdiction. And I don't know specifically on depth allocation, but there are different protocols that were put in place by legislation related to the authorities that California Department of Fish and Game has related to determining whether a specific well is a surface water diversion or if it's underflow. So it's kind of a weird nuance where, Red Hawk, you're completely right. And we argued against this, that the authority should remain with the state board, but there are some interesting authorities specific for cannabis that were given to the department related to 1600 permits for wells. For general agricultural purposes, in the Russian River Valley, we do have several licensed wells to the State Water Resources Control Board, because those are licensed as underflow, meaning that they are considered to be surface water diversions being drawn through a groundwater POD, point of diversion. Most of the time you have to do a water availability analysis to certain degrees and or go through the county. So, but again, the Ukiah Valley is going to this Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. So it's going to be in a different sort of set of parameters here in a couple of years than other areas within the county. So we might know a little bit more through the county water agency, how they may handle other areas of the county.
Who do you suggest, everybody, that I tell them to call or contact, or is there anything to do for that?
I would suggest that you refer them to the supervisor in their district, because this is a massive problem, and the county has to rewrite how they issue the permits for the wells. That's the starting point. The individuals need to go to the supervisor so they can rewrite policy. Right now, it's pretty much they issue a well permit, the well gets put in the ground, and then it's the responsibility of the landowner to report that to the state agencies. And most of the time, that's not happening. They just get they get from the county, they get their well, and they go on about their business, and no one knows what's happening. So I think that would be the first step. There was a ruling just recently in the last probably 3 weeks from the California Supreme Court that is restructuring how counties issue permits for wells. And I could forward that information to you. That's just recently come out. So I think you're going to see some changes.
Do you think we should put this is in need of an agenda item at the BOS with BPS or anything like that?
I don't feel that's in our scope of practice or
Okay.
the commission is, because it's not
Mhm.
dealing with fish and wildlife and directly protecting that.
Resources? Okay. Okay,
Okay.
cool. I'm really done, honestly, with everything. It's always so much.
It's a lot. It definitely is a lot.
It's a lot.
Cool. So we're done with all of our actionable items. Do we want to do commissioner reports, announcements, and comments?
Sounds good.
All right, Red Hawk, you want to take it away?
Okay, just real quick, going back to the beginning of our meeting, I'm just going to bring it up. I'm making a request for our next meeting to add an agenda item to discuss conflict of interest and kind of define our roles as commissioners regarding conflicts of interest. So that,
Okay.
you know, that one formal request. Moving on, I am now officially in District 1. I was transferred over, what was it, 3 to 4 weeks ago. And so the opening now is on the coast, I think District 5 at large. That's all I have to report.
What was at large? Who's at large?
It was, I think, District
Who's
5
at large?
was my previous
District
position.
5.
I am now in,
Okay.
District 1. Oh, actually, there is one more or a couple more things that we need to deal with. Who is in charge of updating our website, the Fish and Wildlife website on the county webpage? Does anybody know?
Is Miss Caitlin still on?
There's things that need to be updated, you know, just the commissioner names. There's people that are not with us anymore. Little things like that.
Yes, that would be me. If you could send me an email with the updates that you need, I would be happy to make those changes.
And who is me?
Caitlin Schaefer, Mendocino County Planning and Building.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin.
My pleasure.
Okay, that's it for me.
Tracy, you want to go next?
Oh, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Believe it, I really don't. I'm excited to do the article on wildlife services, and I'll share it with you guys. And yeah, I feel like things are great in the way that people are communicating with each other, and we're creating, you know, like you were saying, Anna, more of a team. So I'm good. Thank you.
Cool. Well, I guess I'm the last one. I just want to start off with a formal apology to the commission as well as the commissioners and the public. I feel like last week when we were discussing cannabis, my comment came off as a conflict of interest because I do have a cannabis grow and it would personally benefit me financially to open rangeland to heritage style growers. I completely misspoke out of turn with my seat in the commission, and I just want to let everyone know, the commission as well as the county and the public, that I acknowledge that I spoke out of turn in that fashion, and I'm aware of my position, and I would never push a agenda item or the county into a certain direction for my own financial interests. I think what I was trying to do was enlighten the board on how intense the cannabis regulations can go, not only countywide, but statewide, and how each case is very different. My case is going to be extremely different than somebody else's case. So I just want to make that apology known. I'm rather embarrassed that I spoke so out of turn, and I hope everyone understands that I understand the seriousness of this position and would never do anything to violate the Brown Act or to financially move myself forward. Therefore, so that being said, I do apologize. On to other news, I did reach out to Michael Sarah, and I haven't heard back from him. His email is listed as noemail@noemail.com. I called his personal cell. I didn't get a return there. So no word back from him. I know that he was a valued member of this board, so I'm a little hesitant to replace his position, at least for a few more meetings. I know that he can miss 5, so this would be 3. And I'm not sure with COVID, seeing as these are special meetings, not actual meetings, how that goes. But it is something that I'm hesitant to just replace him on, but I also would love to get an active member on here. So trying to delicately walk that line. Other than that, things that are happening in my district, it's been pretty quiet. Our salmon season is over in 7 days. Unfortunately, District 11, I believe, is my section of ocean. Didn't get that great of catches. It was either really small fish, 6 to 7 pounds, or every once in a while, a giant monster would come through. South of Point Arena seemed to have a much better season, but salmon, who knows, man.
That's so sad.
Devin, yeah, you have a question?
Well, I just sense that you are over there and you're kind of aware of what's happening on the coast. What's the urchin situation looking like, or what that sort of conversation, where is that going?
Yeah, so they have started the full removal program. Ocean Protection Council granted Reef Check California money to oversee the removal projects, and it was put on hold up until I believe a month ago. So probably since our last meeting, they've started actual commercial diver removals. So the divers are going out, they're removing. I'm seeing lots of Facebook posts and activity in the harbor. One boat, a 2-diver pair, removed almost 12,000 pounds of purples in a day, which is impressive. There's still no active fishery for this. So right now the purples are just kind of going into bins and they're sitting there, they're in the harbors. As part of my own personal programs and interests, I am looking for a way to create a fishery around that. I know there is a little bit of an issue with the wanton waste. You can't really fish a fishery without having a market for it. So the fact that they're fishing purples without an actual market is kind of a conflict of interest with the wanton waste, but I don't see the state doing anything about it or enforcing that on the Department of Fish and Wildlife, the warden side. But it's just one of those delicate lines. And the biggest joke in fisheries management is if you want to deplete a racehorse, you just find a fishery or find a market for it and away it will go. So that's that, but removals have started happening, yeah.
Thank you.
12,000 in one day. That's crazy. Why do you do that?
Yeah, 12,000 pounds too. So
yeah.
Impressive.
12,000 pounds. I mean, that's just like, whoo.
Yeah. I know the divers are working hard. And then Reef Check as well is collecting all of the data on how many pounds of urchins are being removed, where the divers are working, trying to create clear boundaries and clear areas where hopefully some kelp will be able to reestablish there. There's research out of Tasmania that says you can keep an area cleared for up to 24 months. Kelp sporophytes, if they're still in the water column, will be able to settle and grow, and we can start to reforest our oceans. I've seen a plethora of new folks and new faces in the harbor, reporters, artists, graduate students, people that are really interested in the urchin work and the problem. So hopefully bringing some media attention
Oh, cool.
will also highlight, the issues in the work that's being done. And maybe a billionaire will fund us all and just buy them for, I don't know, compost. Who knows?
It's a
Girls
great
can dream.
idea.
Find a billionaire
Oh,
first.
can reach out to our, yes. What about our local, like soil people or something like that?
Yeah,
Like Fox Farm or something, yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about doing urchin amendments and urchins in soil, but the way that they are in their natural state, it takes them a long time to break down to get the available nutrients out of them where the soil can uptake them. So really what you'd have to do is soak them in a phosphoric acid or something like that, and you could make a calcium magnesium supplement. But the issue there with putting them through soils, well, if they're just going to the soil raw, they don't break down fast enough. And then creating a nutrient with them, we can't get the price per pound to the fishermen to be high enough. So the fishermen want to fish them at $1 to make it profitable for their day. Whereas the fish buyer wants to buy them at 30 cents. So it's hard to find, a meet in the middle to make the fertilizer economically viable and the fishery economically sustainable. So we're,
More of that. Yeah.
All right. Should we plan another meeting while we're all here? Our kind of third special meeting via Zoom due to COVID. We've been going in 2-month stints right now. So that would put us into September, October, November.
Correct. So if we keep with the current schedule of the third Wednesday of the month, that would be the 18th in November, I think is what I see.
Yep, I got you on that.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So it's not this.
Did we lose Tracy? All right, well, let's plan for the 18th of November.
Excuse me, Chair Newman, Planning and Building has a conflict on the 18th. We have another meeting that's at 2 o'clock.
All righty. How do you feel about moving to Tuesday, or do you want to move to the prior or post week?
The prior week would be November 11th, which is Veterans Day, and the county is closed on that day.
True. How about the following week, November 25th, the Wednesday?
Day before Thanksgiving?
Oh.
Hey, you guys, but remember we were going to possibly get the elk people on board? Like that would, like, if we did a January thing or if we extended it, we could really get a lot of people, or even if we did a December thing.
Well, if
we get that.
I think it's important that we stick with our every other month schedule, but I think Devin is correct on having a January meeting for the elk and having a greater number of people. That would be a good idea. If somehow we could squeeze another meeting in November and we can deal with some of our internal stuff, that would be great.
Okay. Oh, cool. Got it. Okay. That sounds great. Okay.
How do folks feel about the Monday, the 16th of November?
Sounds great to me.
I'm good.
Caitlin?
I'm looking at our schedule, just a moment.
Okay. So this is cool, you guys. So we'll do this house cleaning and then we'll have the big meeting and it'll be back hopefully on schedule the 3rd January of the month. And then I can tell her that's our date to have her. All right, cool.
I see no conflicts for planning and building on November 16th.
Cool. Let's do
Cool.
Monday, November 16th at 2, Devin.
Oh, no, I was just gonna ask, maybe after you guys finalize November, could we check with Caitlin about the January date while we're thinking about it?
Okay.
Okay.
So we have November 16 at what time?
2, does that work for you guys? Is that what time we started today?
Today we started it at 3 p.m.
3?
Oh shoot, I gotta go. Okay.
Okay, let's do 3 p.m. to keep it consistent on Monday, November 16th.
Perfect.
All right, do you want to look at January or do you have to run, Tracy?
I got this. We got this. Yep.
I can tell you that we do not have our schedule out yet for January.
Can we kind of do a tentative January 20? That would fall back into our normal schedule.
Cool. I'll put tentative.
That sounds wonderful.
I ask
At 3
what-
o'clock.
Yeah, Devin?
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, maybe planning and building, I don't know if there's a protocol issue, but we do have a Zoom account. So if there is an issue maybe with the county not knowing their schedule at that point, just because I'm hoping Tracy can work to go ahead and solidify that date with CDFW. So maybe we can start promoting it in December. So I didn't know if there was a issue with, if for some reason planning and building couldn't host the Zoom, if we could, I don't know if that's possible.
I believe we should be able to confirm that by the November meeting.
All right, perfect.
Okay. But if we hear anything earlier, Devin, I'll let you know immediately. As soon as they know, we'll know.
Great. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk again in November. Thank you again, Derek, for coming on and giving us an update with wildlife services, and Devin, your update for the elk. Away we go. Meeting adjourned.
And thank you, Abby.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Yes.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thank you. Well, meeting adjourned. What time is it? Okay. Bye, everybody. I gotta go check the
All right.
time. Bye.
Bye.